Morning, Jeff Surber, Operations Section Chief with Great Basin Team 1. Morning update for September 7th. Let's start over here on the spot fire from, probably 2 to 3 weeks ago now. We have the west zone of the fire is helping us out over here on the spot fire. You can see a little bit more black edges today. That signifies containment, so they're slowly working down through this stuff. Felt comfortable enough to call that area right there contained today, so making progress on that spot to ensure that it cannot escape anymore. Moving over to our division Oscar, which is this northwest flank of the fire out to this protected area. That is where we had a swap over day before yesterday in the afternoon. That got caught that night by dozers and with a lot of aircraft support. It was mopped up yesterday and is no longer a problem. So we continue to watch that very vigilantly because of the opportunity for this fire, this heat that they show as scattered heat on the map to escape again and cause problems that could go to the north towards Melbourne. So we still have lots of folks in here. We have a contingent of Army folks as well as our normal firefighters and a division that we keep an eye on all that today. Coming around into the Black Mountain, past the Black Mountain Prom site, and then on down to the 395 corridor. We put quite a bit of retardant in here with 2 heavy helicopters yesterday using this Furlong mobile retardant base. They were transferring retardant back and forth to coat this line from the top to the bottom of that rim. So if anybody was driving 395, you would have seen toward the afternoon, we saw helicopters working that. What we plan to do there is as soon as we can free up some of our folks from down in the Dixie area, we also have some Type 1 hotshot crews coming in that have been released from other incidents, boosting our capability. We plan to put them on that piece of line and rather than let that thing continue across slope, even though it was not an intense fire and it was leaving a lot of green trees and really not up in the canopy. We prefer to go in there before any weather changes can occur that would cause problems and take care of that. So we're holding in check with retardant until we can get those crews over there to take care of that and work from the bottom to the top and stop that forward spread. Last night, the fire, just after dark, as a lot of folks know, you get winds off the escarpment. The winds came up last night, just like I say, probably around 2000, around 8 o'clock, maybe a little bit earlier than that. Pushed this fire off the where it was hung up. It was active here all day. We were waiting for it. We were going to take some action with dozers down in here a little bit later and maybe cut it off before it got to the existing dozer line, but it pretty much picked up a lot of steam, came down, crossed several dozer lines, crossed 395, and then was caught at about 1/10 of an acre on the other side of 395 on that north side. So this was lighter fuels. I don't expect to see any problems in there today. The highway's back open. It was open during the night, early morning hours, and it ran back. This portion of it ran into the Beckworth Complex fire, and so this corner is pretty well tied up. This area you can see right in here where the fire hasn't gotten down to the dozer line. We'll look at the opportunity to walk some of this edge in here and see if it's cold. Once we get those hotshot crews, they may just hike up in there and see if that's cold enough to just work it and put it out, or whether we have to wait for it to come down farther to the dozer line. So we'll be assessing this in the next day or two to see what we have to do to seal that off so it can't come out anymore. Moving down beyond that, this area that hit 395 last night, moving on down the edge of the fire, you can see where it got caught in the earlier June, July Beckworth Complex where this brown area is. There is one pocket in here that didn't burn the Beckworth Complex in a small Forest Service facility that we're going to have wrapped with some structure wrap. It's like a foil wrap that protects those buildings in case this fire continues to come towards them. Coming on down, this whole area right here is caught on the Surber fire. back over towards the Dixie Valley area. This line, we had real favorable winds in here yesterday that pushed this fire back on itself. So we had dozers and we had hot shot crews and we had aircraft and we had everything pretty much pounding on this line and this line right here to hold that in check so that it doesn't continue down toward and be a problem for this Highway 70 corridor in the future. We have a lot of contingencies that we've built along underneath the power line. We have dozer line wrapping back around. We have some dozer line even down south towards Beckworth. We're doing some work off the 177 road. We have a lot of stuff going on down in here in the event this thing breaks out and wants to come south again. So we're always looking 5-10 miles in front of us as much as possible to try to figure out what we can do if our plan does not work. Right now our plan's working. It's looking good. We're starting to get this edge cooled down in here. And if the winds continue to be prevailing from the southwest and from the south, that'll work out very well to our advantage. We have a lot more military Army folks in here today. We've pretty much moved most all of our Army folks from where they were working over in the Genesee area and over here in Division Romeo. We keep pushing them out this way. So almost all of them are deployed in this portion of the fire, and that's about 250 extra individuals that can deploy hose, staff pumps, do all that kind of stuff to cool down all these edges. So that'll be real helpful in holding on to what we have. Moving over to the Division Romeo area, that has not been a problem for quite some time now. The Turner Ridge area is not a problem. We've had that held now for several days. Again, we're vigilant. We keep people there. They're still mopping up, but it's not a critical issue right now. We're down staffing somewhat this Division Romeo. The Army members that were on there are moving forward, so that means that we need less and less folks in there to be watching that. So that's some good news there. And then coming on over to Devil's Punch Bowl off of Grizzly Mountain. What we've done is, as I've talked about before, we had a plan in here to do some burning and connect the fire across the way this way. Well, that was 10 days ago when we got here. The folks before us also had that idea. 100 degrees, we had different conditions, even though we're going to have some 90s, high 90s this week. But back then we had different conditions, a lot of fire activity going on. They felt, and we felt, that this was the best solution to this issue with this piece of fire that couldn't be stopped. Well, that piece of fire has now moved into, I don't want to call it favorable terrain. It's still hung up in a lot of rock, a lot of steep, rocky area, but because we've put so much air power into that with retardant and water, the heat has been substantially reduced. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert a couple of folks, allow them to hike up in here and look at this edge and see if there's anything they can do to cool that edge, the few spots that are up in there that are hot, see if they can take just a small number, 5 people, maybe up there, and work with some helicopter support to cool that edge off and just see if we can go direct instead of going indirect, which would be this burn operation. Anytime we lay fire on the ground, there's always some risk involved with that. There's human risk involved here with those people hiking in there to take care of that, and there's risk involved with us backing off and doing an indirect attack and laying fire on the ground. So we have to weigh that between the risk reward. So today we're risking very, very few individuals just to walk in there and take a look at it, and there's a lot of rock hopping and things like that has to happen. But if they assess it and some action can be taken on that to cool it, that's our preference right now, rather than conducting a burn operation. But that's always available to us in the future if this proves to be a continued problem, and if it proves untenable for the people that go in there as far as being able to work that area. And the rest of the fire is holding well, and things are going good. We're backhauling and moving things out into the northeast corner of the fire where we need that equipment for. And we have a lot of stuff that has been freed up from other fires. Apparently, some of the other fires are getting caught. So we've been offered more hotshot crews and more overhead, more mid-level management, which will really help our operation perform more smoothly, be able to hit these spots that I've discussed more effectively.